Hello and welcome. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. I'll be here to greet people for a while. And if you're watching this recording, we'll be kicking things off in about 4 minutes if you want to fast forward. All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Sean McCusker. I'm here to join you tonight for this session, this spring renewal webinar on expressing student learning through digital storytelling. So I hope to be able to demonstrate to you some really positive benefits of digital storytelling and talk about what problems they might solve for all of us. How might they serve our students? So I'm going to go ahead and click over. Hopefully I'm showing my screen. You can see that. This deck is in the chat. So if you are interested, you can go ahead and grab that link. If you feel like you have any questions, feel free to throw those into the comment section. I'd be happy to respond back to you. Okay. So like I said, my name is Sean McCusker. I have been a teacher for 25 years in the classroom, and concurrently I've been working around the country, serving schools to leverage technology to get more from it, to use it in meaningful ways. I'm the author of Becoming Active Citizens, which was published last summer. It's a book on reforming civic education, and it is a nominee for the Forward Indies Book of the Year award in the education category. So I'm really excited about that. My experience that you know is teaching junior high and high school. I've taught in full inclusion, special ed, co-taught rooms. I spent a lot of time teaching alternative night school as well. And I'm hoping that what I share with you today can give you some sense of how to get your students' voices telling the story of their learning, right? In a meaningful, equitable way. All right. So with EdTechTeacher, a little bit about us. EdTechTeacher is an organization that has been around for 20 years now, and we have been trying to help teachers to thrive in modern learning environments, right? The teaching, the classroom evolves quickly. We're here to help support you. We help schools succeed. We help teachers thrive. And our vision is that we will one day be the most trusted educator partner in technology training and services. That's our goal. So moving on, I want to point out that this summer, we have a series of trainings that we're going to be presenting. In the past, you paid for one class, you got one class. But this year, we're going to open the doors. If you sign up for a class, you get all of our classes. So our summer learning pass for $195, you can sign up for any one of our, it used to be 12, it's 13, it's classes right now. It's soon to be 15 different sessions. If you sign up for any one, you get a pass to attend all of them and all of the resources and all of the recordings. So a lot of value there. Reach out if you're interested in that. You can always email me at mccusker@edtechteacher.org. Okay. So moving on from there, let's talk about the challenge of digital storytelling. So what is the challenge that we're trying to address by using digital storytelling? Right. So the challenge, in my opinion, is this. Effective communication used to be reading and writing. And now we look at the world around us and it requires to be fluent. We have to be fluent in communication across many communication medium that dominate our daily life. Reading and writing is no longer enough. They're still incredibly important, but we need to give people the tools to share their voices in the way that people share their voices. And so we have to talk about what does that look like? Where can we tell storytelling? Are we using video or audio? Is that in slide decks, videos? Is it like social media? Whatever that might be, how do we tell that form of a story? Okay. So in doing that, we also want to let them develop their own individual voices. And that's a beautiful part about storytelling is if you do storytelling, if you use storytelling as a form of communication, you're constantly having your classes use their own voice. They're hearing each other speak in their own authentic voices. And that's just good for your class. I think that classes that are effective are more about the students telling their stories about learning than it is about the teacher telling the story about learning. Okay. And in that sense, we can then value the individual. So in the chat, if you'll do this, go ahead and in the chat, if you can think of what is a form of communication that students need to master today that maybe 10 years ago they didn't need to master. What's a way of communicating that they should be working on, have the knowledge of before they leave school? Go ahead and drop that into the chat if you have any thoughts. I'm a big believer that we should be able to record ourselves and share clips of video. I think we are online a lot. I think social media calls for that, right? I think we should also be able to communicate in the form of pictures. Can you tell a story in a single image? Because creating media is not about just creating a picture and throwing out words. It's a story that you tell in a very small, short form platform, okay? All right, drop any comments into the chat. All right, let's go on from there. So let's get started. So what's the solution? The solution is digital storytelling, because research suggests that these things are true. Students who use digital storytelling as a strategy within their class are going to have enhanced creativity and critical thinking. They have to think about the way that they deliver a story. I like to use this example. When you're telling a story with video or telling a story in audio, it's rational to organize it in a certain way, more rational almost than the organization you use when writing. It makes sense. A story has to have a certain beat and a flow. Okay. Digital storytelling also improves communication, increases engagement because the students are so like finding the words to explain what they're doing. And it supports diverse learning styles. They're going to go about it in unique and interesting ways. They're going to use platforms that kind of enhance and play to their skills and their talents and the way that they speak. However, that speaking, sharing might be in pictures and words, images, it's going to come out differently for each student. So those are some positives of digital storytelling. Right. Ultimately, what happens is it's voice and choice. Capture the voices of their story and their learning and let them choose the way that they go about sharing that story. Okay, so some research that backs this up, and it's linked here in the deck if you're interested in checking that out. Piaget talks about knowledge as invention or construction of concepts and ideas, right? So if we're telling a story as we learn, we're forced to put that story into better, more clear context than if we're just taking notes and writing it down. As we repeat things back, we have to learn more in depth. And that invention and construction of the story that they're telling is what Piaget would look at in terms of knowledge, right? His approach to constructivist teaching promoted that teachers should encourage experimentation and provide experiences to students to promote learning, which is perfectly in line with what we're talking about tonight with digital storytelling. All right. So the first strategy I want to point out is something basic. How do we get started with digital storytelling if we're not familiar with it, right? And oftentimes I come to these sessions and people will start talking about some like way down the road, like months and weeks into the process. But I think we can start by talking about using audio in simple ways. Let's say that you're a traditional teacher, you structure your lessons around writing and reading. How can we use audio to start telling the story of our learning in meaningful, incremental ways to get up to where we create the world's most epic story of learning, the world's most epic video? Okay, so the tool that I want to show you is something called Moat. Moat is an extension for Chrome that allows you to insert audio into documents and slides. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Google Documents to start with, and then ultimately I'll show you Google Slides as well. But it's going to start by you, and I'm going to go here. If you click on the link in this deck, it will bring you to a link in the Chrome Web Store. You're going to have to install Moat. Once you install Moat, you're going to have to hit refresh on the page so that the code that it adds is going to be active. And here's what it's going to look like if you have a document. So here's a document that I have where I have just written in some text. Let me zoom in for that a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's some text that I have written. And you'll know that Moat is active. Moat appears in your screen by up in the extensions. You'll see the little purple Moat icon. But it also appears if I highlight something, off to the side of the page in the margin, you'll see this little link for adding a hypermoat, okay? And if I highlight some text, I can add audio to that. If students are writing and they want to add like spoken word to a portion of their story to break down their story, or if they want to highlight a paragraph and practice reading that to speak the words that they're sharing. I used to do that with my ELL students, have them write to construct meaning and then have them read what they wrote so that they could associate the written word with the spoken word. Okay, so I can click on this area here to highlight it. And then off to the side menu that comes up, once I'm using Moat, I can click on it and it will start the Moat process. It brings up this window and I'll simply click here and it'll start recording. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm using Moat. When I hit stop, it processes. It takes a second because what's going to happen is it's going to insert this link in the document. It's going to take that audio and store it in Google Drive. Something you should know, if you're using Moat, it stores the audio in the person's own Google Drive, which is, for privacy reasons, very good. It's not some server off in the distance. It's right here within your school's or that student's Google Drive. Once I click insert, It creates this hyperdoc link, excuse me. And when I click on it, it creates this playback console. And if I click on the green play button, right? And there it is. I have installed Moat into a document. So now any written text can start to become a digital storytelling platform. The other thing I can do as a teacher is if I want to use this to kind of respond, or if students would prefer to do it this way, you can create a comment and easily, let me slide over here because I've zoomed, add Moat to that comment in a very similar way. Here is feedback on the essay that you wrote. As soon as I've added that and hit comment, it appears with this playing console right there. So now we can add audio to a document. It also works in Google Slides. So if I want to start telling a story and adding to Google Slides, I can do that. Let me zoom out a little bit to make it reasonable. Within any slide, I can use Moat, which in Slides appears with a little button in the area right to the left of the share button in the slideshow presentation area. If I click this button to add a Moat, it works the same way. Testing 1, 2, 3, I'm recording a Moat. When I hit stop, it does the same thing and asks me to insert, but it appears a little bit differently. Takes a little bit longer because it saves to your Google Drive. Then it retrieves it from your Google Drive and adds a link. And even better, then adds an image attached to that sound so that when you click on that image, the playback appears below it. In this way, they can create images, basic images using Slides, a simple platform that's free to those schools and free to them, and then add audio to it. You can create diagrams that create activities. You can create classroom debates. I have a slide that's divided pro and con, and students have to drop their Moat into a shared slide and tell a story. But for digital storytelling purposes, we can create the graphics that would be part of their story and have them review that and add audio to each part of that story. Right? If we're going to do digital storytelling in, say, a science class, they can take the pictures of the science experiment and tell the story of their lab group as they experiment all throughout. All right. So that's using Moat to add audio. So let's go back to our slide deck. All right. So the second strategy I want to talk to you about is adding video. What's a simple way that we can add video? Oftentimes when we add video, people talk about adding it to social media, which means we have to have accounts, and that's not accessible for young students they can't really do that on their own. But one way that we can create the experience of creating video to share as part of a story is to do it within Google Slides, which can be contained, shared with the class, shared with the school, but doesn't have to be shared publicly. So we can kind of scale up our shared storytelling with people by using this tool. Okay. The record to slides process works in very similar ways. So I'm going to go to the link in this slide deck and go to record to slides. I'll demonstrate that in just a second. Then you'll go in and you'll refresh any Google Slides that were open once it's installed so that the programming is active on the page you've hit refresh. Then there'll be this little blue button that appears on a slide. And if you click on that blue button, it's going to allow you to use the record to slides blue icon. And then it will give you a window that looks like this, right? The first side, the left side, is the video that you're recording. You'll click the green record button right here, and it will start recording. When you're done, the video will appear on this side of your screen. It will give you choices about how you want that to be shared. Is it only shared to the teacher? Is it shared to anyone who comes to this page? And then from that, it will insert just like this. So this is a video that I've inserted into a slide deck using record to slides. So just like that, it's going to insert that into the slide that you're using. As a teacher, you can use that to share instructions, to leave feedback. I like to use that for sub plans. You have your sub plan for the day that you share with the sub, but it's you recording the actual information. But when it comes to digital storytelling, now you can create images, have information and facts, and then record yourself sharing. Not only is that good, but this demonstrates an important part of storytelling. If you do audio, if you do video, students will want to get it right. So what they will often do is it will take them multiple iterations of recording because they want it to be a certain way. And that process of refining what they say, refining how they speak, and refining the clarity of what they're saying to their classmates is something I would allow time for, because I think ultimately it's really, really positive for them to be thinking along those lines. Okay, so let's give an example of what that looks like. So let's go into this slide deck. I'm going to create a new slide. All right, and then I'm going to use record to slides. So first of all, let me show you what it looks like if I'm going to search for it. I can go to record to slides Chrome store. Excuse me, live. When I click on it, it's going to look like this. I'm going to drop that into the chat for those of you who are watching. If you want to give it a try. There you go. Once you hit install, then come back to your slide deck. You can hit refresh, and it will refresh the screen so that the coding is active. Now I'm going to have to go turn record to slides on in my extensions. So record to slides. There we go. All right. Let me make sure it appears. Here we go, manage extensions. Okay, let's make sure it's installed. We'll remove it and we'll add it, and that'll help it appear. Add the extension. There we go. And now I'll pin it so I can see it. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. It disappeared from me, but now it's there. So now I can go into this area and I can go up to my slides. Hit refresh again. Here's the record to slides icon right here. It looks like a little record button, but it also appears here on the screen. That's why I had to reinstall it so it would show up. I can then click on this icon and now it brings up the dashboard. All right. It's got me using a different camera, record the video here. I'll have to change that setting. Okay. USB camera. Okay. And try again. All right. And then, so what I'll do here is I'll hit record. Right now it's picking up the wrong camera, but I'll have to fix that. Let me cancel and hit refresh again. All right, try one more time. Camera B, camera USB. There we go. Sorry about that. So it was picking up the wrong camera set up on my computer. I went and changed the setting. That should show up here then. And then, why would it do that? All right. It's going to go back every time. It's going to revert back. So whatever. I'm going to demonstrate it for you anyway. All right. So now it's showing the correct camera. I'm going to go ahead and click on record. And it's going to start recording me and adding that video to this recording. I'm going to hit stop. It will show you then the video right here that you're going to approve of and give you the chance to change who it's available to. I'm going to make it available to anyone. Now, one thing is that it hides this OK button, and you're going to have to hit that OK button in order to make the video appear on your slides. And then once I do that and hit OK, it'll take a second to process. Because remember, it's doing a lot. It's taking that video, it's putting it into Google Drive. It's going to create a folder and store it there, just like the past product. And then that video is going to appear right here. And if I hit record, if I hit play, it shows just like that. So just like that now, we can add video narrating things that have happened. We can have them create a slide deck for their science project and create a digital story of what it was happening during that science presentation. So aside from the complexity of my computer choosing the wrong camera, this is going to quickly present the chance for students to record and put something right into a slide deck. I like it because it doesn't mean you have to record the video, upload it to a particular platform. It doesn't mean you have to like add it to a Google Drive and then put it somewhere else. The process is extremely straightforward and extremely fast. Okay, so from there, we can go on to our next slide. Let's look at this next strategy. Our last strategy is more of an entire tool. If you want to tell stories and you need a platform that's easy with low load, not a lot of stress to be comfortable with it, you can go ahead and use Adobe Express. Adobe Express is perfect for images, single images, right? It's perfect for creating a document or a flyer. Adobe Express is also really, really good for creating simple videos. It takes zero stress, it's low drama, and it automatically catalogs the sources that you're adding to a video. And then you can make a web page too. And a web page is an often misunderstood way of storytelling that I think students need to know how to create a web page for whatever it is that they're trying to share with the world, because really that's how we're going to access information. All right. So if you go into Adobe Express, and I'll show it live in a second, you'll see that there's a lot of different ways to create a graphic. Look at all the features that you can add. You can add text. There's photos that are stock photos that you can add to it. Many of them are free. There is a premium version of that you can look at, but the freemium has many, many images, shapes of all different kinds that you can use to design what you're building. Other design assets, images, graphics, colors, backgrounds, etc. Right? And you can make any custom size. In fact, when I go in there to create a graphic, I'll show you that those graphics are going to give you the option of choosing which social media place you want to go to for it. So let's look at creating graphics quickly on Adobe Express. If I go into Adobe Express and I log in, you can see on Adobe Express that the free version will be always free. And when you click into your account and it comes up, it starts by asking what size, what image do you want to create, right? If I go to creating an image and click on the quick action buttons right here, right, it will say, what image size do I want? There's templates that you can create, but I can go to an image and I can just create a new project, right? If I go to projects here, I can see the projects that already existed. I can click on the plus and create a custom size graphic. When you hit create a custom size graphic, it'll let you choose like popular sizes, social media posts, social profiles, all the different types of banners. So that's a powerful use of the tool as well. But then you can go create a graphic. And like I said, it will bring up this platform that's going to allow you to add all of those features that I showed you before. Very quick, low stress. I've seen classrooms as young as second and third grade get into this tool and build really effective presentations, messages with them. All right, so next thing you can use in Adobe Express is their video creation platform. It starts off when you create a new video by giving you a story. Why don't we create a story about a title? And then it will give you templates to choose from. Do you want to start using a template to promote an idea, tell a story, or do you want to start from scratch? Okay, when you do that, the platform that you have for telling a video story looks a little bit like this. So this image is how the geography of creating a video in Adobe Express. You can have students come in, they can add video of their own, insert text, add photos, use icons to create symbolism. The entire platform is basically a picture that you add audio to. And on the bottom, they can add different slides, different images that they can adjust. What's nice about this is you can add audio to a specific slide as you're creating within this platform. So let's take a really quick look at that. So if I go back to my projects, I'm not going to save that project. I can click on this big pink plus. From the big pink plus, I can go to video, right? And I can create whatever video that I want to create there. I'm going to click video down here. I can type in my title. And then once I do that, it has me pick from a template. I can go ahead and start from scratch if I choose to, however. It takes a second. And I'll create one slide for you by adding an image. I can go ahead and create some text. I can change the layout of that page by adding split screen. Now my text can have a video added next to it. I'm just going to type in, excuse me, news. We'll search their stock photos, right? Okay. And now I can quickly take the image and the text that I've put together, and by clicking this button, start to add audio to this slide. Once I'm done, I can hit play, and it will add music and the audio that I've recorded to the slide as well. Here is me adding audio to this slide. All right. I can hit play. Just like that, we're telling a story. I can create additional slides if I'd like to, and then across the bottom, I can play the entire story. But it's that simple. Students can get in, and as part of a 10-minute work session, tell a story about whatever they learned during that class period. All right, so let's go back to our slide deck. You have a lot of other options within the video creation platform. You also have the ability to create web pages on Adobe Express. So creating a web page, there's an example web page here that I can show you that I put together in 1 minute. So just to give you a sense of what can we build in 1 minute's time, we can create a title, add images, add content, buttons if we want to read more. We can embed videos. And then when we share this page, right, and create a link, it translates from this workspace to a page that looks just like this, 1 minute worth of organizing. So pretty clean, pretty straightforward, and not a lot of stress. My students always liked when I used Adobe Express because it wasn't going to be stressful. It was a little bit creative, and it was a way for them to create something unique that people would be excited about. It was also something that they were always eager to share their work. Instead of thinking about the times before when students would be afraid to go up or stand up and share something to the class. But when we do digital storytelling, what I find is that they're eager to get their work in because they want to be part of the discussion that the work that they create and share produces for the class. Okay. So that's creating web pages using Adobe Express. We're running a little short on time. So there's a lot of examples in the deck, and I'm going to go ahead and share that deck with you right now into the chat again. For those of you who just joined, here is that deck again. And on slide 20, there are 5 examples of graphics. There's about 8 examples of web pages that are all created by students. And then a series of videos that were from our What Matters to Me projects that the students created to tell something in the world that mattered to them and how it intersected with our government. Okay, so from there, if you want to, there's also some strategies by subject that you can look into and peruse. I have, first of all, where do you start? Consider making thinking visible. Consider doing an audio or recorded reflection on learning. Have the students demonstrate, okay, we learned this today. What can you tell me in 30 seconds that demonstrates that you know this learning objective? Or you can combine the physical with the digital. Have students record an experiment. Have students record a conversation and annotate a discussion that happens in small groups. All of these things can be really powerful ways of sharing their stories in unique ways that help them to think more deeply and reflect upon their learning. After that, in the slide deck, I have examples, page by page, of examples of how you can do digital storytelling for language classes, math classes, science classes, social studies classes, art or music, and then a variety of others that you can use. So feel free to peruse these. There's something like 12 per page. There's 5 pages. There's something like 60 of those examples there. So to end this session, I just want to bring up that our call to action here is that you can have students tell their stories, learn how to communicate through powerful medium for communication, and at the same time, develop their own personal voice and their own personal style of communication, right? And a sense of creativity, all using digital storytelling. We can value our students' voices. Also, you can attend one of our upcoming summer sessions from our summer learning. Like I said, it's $195 for a ticket to go to a course, but you get all the courses for that. So it's really much more broad than that. And the third thing you can do is you can hire us. So feel free to reach out if you're interested in working with EdTechTeacher. We have a lot of different ways that we can support you. We have upcoming webinars, upcoming summer pass, and we would be happy to work with you as well. Like I said, you can also get our digital handout. I can drop that into the chat for you. This is just a briefer version of all of the resources that we're sharing, all linked in one spot. So that being said, I appreciate all those who joined me today. It's been great having you on this journey. Please feel free to check out our Summer Learning Pass classes, and I look forward to seeing you at one of our future webinar sessions. Thank you very much.